The big boys come back in style and won it.
Kementari dashes away in the round with Guineas.
We're here live out at Osborne Park with James Cummings, the head trainer. What we're doing is we're encouraging everyone to get online, send through your questions. I'll have a look as we go along and ping James a couple. He looks outstanding. He's come through the run well.
Yeah, I'm delighted with how he came through.
I know it puts you on the spot a little bit, but what do you think he is? Is he a mile or is he a 1400 metre horse? Hello and thanks for tuning in. We're live at Osborne Park for the spring launch of the Godolphin Australian Arm. I'm Brad Gray from Racing New South Wales. I'm with the head trainer, James Cummings. And James, before we have a look at some of those horses we'll see over the next couple of months, the past season just concluded, really big year, or a big season for the yard and the team, 231 winners Australia-wide. You must be proud.
Yeah, it was a great effort, I think, from the whole group. Across the board, we spread our wins over quite a few states. You know, I think that we've got some really good things that we can work on for the new season, but we're really pleased with the efforts and then particularly in some of the big races and to see the big performances from some of our best horses was most satisfying of all.
And on those big performances, have you got a highlight? There was a couple of great Group 1 wins in there.
Oh, I was pretty taken with Kementari's win in the Ramwick Guineas. You know, that was a really good culmination of planning and a really top class athlete who was able to race away to win that race. And you know, then even impending in his Kingsford Smith Cup to get that horse up to that sort of level at weight for age. And Elise, you know, in the championships, you know, our big championship winner for the carnival was it was a lot of fun, and it was great to be able to celebrate that and have a really good feel amongst the team when it came time to enjoy the spoils.
Speaking of Kementari and Elise, should we wander down and have a bit of a look
Absolutely,
at them?
good idea.
As we wander down though, you've got a couple of, plenty of new horses in the yard, a few youngsters from a few new season sides, your Brazen Bows, your Shooting to Wins, your Hallowed Ground, who's a horse you know a bit about.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I actually just this week we putting a colt out of Essaouira through his paces, a Brazen Bow colt. He's a pretty nice horse. So he's Elise's half brother and a half brother also to a Stern. So when you got those young horses coming through, that always makes it, you know, gives that a little bit of excitement about what might lie ahead, you know. Here's Elise here. She's just chewing on a bit of breakfast after track work.
She's always been a big girl. Has she developed further?
Oh yeah, she has a little bit. She is a bit bigger, but she, you know, she's probably even more relaxed this time in than she has been in the past. And the most important thing is she's still really enjoying herself. She's had one barrier trial. She'll trial again next week, and you'll see her run first up on the 18th.
That's the Light Fingers.
No, she'll be running in the show county.
Oh, the show
she'll
county,
have to race against the older horses now.
Right.
She's 4 this week, so if we get a couple of good runs into her and she's looking like an Epsom contender, then that's probably where we'll see her first up.
Okay. Well, what targets have you got in mind for her?
So, you know, if it's not the Epsom, you know, I like the look of her running in the Maya Classic at Flemington, but she's just very, very good once she's at peak fitness over 1600 metres. I wouldn't be surprised if she had, you know, 2 or 3 really good cracks at those big mile races this spring.
She's a horse that generally sprints really well fresh too, though, so I'd expect the same again.
Yeah, I think so. She'll demonstrate a little bit of that speed she's got and the freshness when she trials again next week. And I think if she's nicely weighted in the show county, she'd be one of the main chances.
Okay, let's go have a look at Kementari. He's a good horse, this fella, isn't he?
Yeah. He's done nothing but strengthen since his last campaign. You know, he just oozes quality. He's a very exciting horse to train, and I think he's going to sort of prance around the mounting yard there on Saturday, and he's going to be feeling pretty good about himself.
He's come to say hello.
Yeah, he sticks his tongue out when he's relaxed in his barn. He's a pretty happy horse, as you can tell.
One of the questions we've actually got from the audience is regarding Kementari from Ashley Evans on Twitter. Is he ready to fire first up?
Look, I got no doubt he's a little bit below his best first up, but he's a sort of horse that just can't help but run well, and where we had him first up last preparation in the Warwick Farm Eskimo Prince, he was able to race away with that event. On class and on freshness, I think we'd like to see something similar, but he's tackling some very, very good opposition there on the weekend, and I wouldn't be convinced he's going to be completely at his best. So I'd be forgiving if he wasn't dynamic against those horses. But the horse is just going really, really nicely, and I can see him winding up really strongly.
He's going to be in the shop window there for a potential Everest slot, I guess, on Saturday, so fingers crossed. Yeah,
that's right. But look, what we're really focused on is just allowing the dust to settle after the weekend. We've got to prove that he's a missile horse first and foremost, and a weight for age performance at 1,200 metres is going to be doing nothing but add to his value. And I can't sort of reiterate enough that we're just excited about having him back, and he looks set for a really strong campaign.
He's always been a nice, we'll have a look at a few others down here, but he's always been a nice, athletic, lean kind of horse. He's the same again?
Yeah, he's bigger though. He's bigger again. He'll be. I think he'll be every bit just the pick of the yard on the weekend.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Encryption was a horse we just wandered past there.
Yeah, Encryption you'll probably see in the up and coming on the 18th of August. He'll trial again as well during the week, and I was really taken with the way he let down beautifully in a barrier trial just last week. We're just got to make sure that he's fit enough to run that 1,300 metres first up, and just might put his credentials for a Golden Rose on the line in that race.
That's actually one of the questions here that's come through from Liam McGinty is regarding Encryption. You said how he's come back, but is he probably your leading contender at the moment as far as the Golden Rose goes?
I would say, and from my perspective, none of them are just yet. I just going to allow them to race their way into contention. So whilst we have a horse like Encryption who won the Canberra Black Opal, there's also other horses in the mix like Plague Stone, who might run 1,400 metres if he's given the chance, or even Ranier, who's going to be kicking off from a low base in a maiden plate, but has a performance up the straight at Flemington in their Maribyrnong trial where he beat Sunlight into third place and looks every bit a classy horse. So, there's a little bit of water to go under the bridge before we get there.
Yeah, I think Ranier, you mentioned him there, he's a bit of a sleeper, isn't he?
He is,
I don't think a few of the punters would know much about him, having only seen him once, but he's certainly showing a bit of quality.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. He's definitely a horse I'd look out for on Wednesday.
Okay, let's jump over and maybe have a look at Hartnell. Krista Ball is another one that's probably slipped under the radar a little bit. She's a filly you've always had a bit of time for.
Yes, she'll be running first up in the Silver Shadow. She's just improving as each week goes by, and I think she's a little bit more. She's probably a little calmer this time around. Everything was coming a little bit quick for her as a 2-year-old, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's capable of making a big step forward. But she hasn't quite been fully exposed yet. So here's Hartnell and Tom Simpson, our physio. He's just looking over him. Hartnell will trial next week, and we're happy with the way the horse has returned, and I'd say more than likely we'll be seeing him in the PB Lawrence on the 18th of August down in Caulfield.
Okay, he's always a horse that sprints particularly well, fresh up, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He was a really dominant winner of the race last year. You'll remember that he carried a little bit extra weight with the farrier's tools in Craig Williams' boot. So hopefully things can go a little bit with a little less drama this year. But no, he's a happy horse, and he looks in great skin at the moment. He's strong and feeling good for his riders. So there's no reason to think that he shouldn't be coming back nicely for us. And he was raced pretty sparingly. He only had 4 starts last campaign, and they were nicely spaced.
Yeah, so age shall not weary him.
I hope not.
All right. Who else have we got down here that we can have a bit of a look at?
Oh, mate, we've got some. We've got Ranier down here. Bandipur, he's a last start winner. He won the Brother Dan Stakes last time at Randwick.
Yep.
He made up a three winner haul for us that day. Plaguestone, I know you're a big fan of him. He was a star in the Punters Intel for his first up performance in the Rosebud preview. We'll be running him in the Rosebud next start. He's just got a nice 3 weeks to get into that race, and he'll be sort of, for that matter, kept a little on the fresh side. But he's a classy colt and looks like a big improver for us this campaign. He just seems to be going about things a little bit more relaxed than he has been in the past.
Yeah, the pennies certainly looks to have dropped a little bit with him.
And it needed to. Trekking, he's a horse on the way up. Ranier we talked about he's running in the maiden plate next Wednesday at Canterbury. Marsupial, I wouldn't discount him. He's been a big improver from last time. He was gelded and put a few really nice wins together, and a strong second to Parast. You know, in pretty tough conditions off a wide run there at Doomben. He's come back nicely, that horse.
Okay, one to keep an eye on then.
Yeah.
Marsupial.
One behind me, Duke of Valentinois. He's won 3 stakes races since coming to Australia, so he's kept doing well with culminating in a weight for age win after running second in a Scone Cup last prep. So I'll keep trying to find those really nice mile targets for him. Might even be an Epsom third up if he's not without a hope of being a long shot chance.
Okay, one of the questions here I'll ask you quickly is from Tyler on Instagram. Horse he's asked about is Wagner. So
Yeah,
we'll be seeing him over the spring.
Another sleeper. He's in training. He's about 2 weeks from a trial, and I think that whilst I'll keep my targets pretty low in the early days with him, knock off a maiden. He's got good form behind a horse like Tchaikovsky, who we ran second to at Gosford in a Metropolitan maiden, and that horse was able to be competitive at in much better races. So yeah, look out for that horse.
Okay.
Here's Astoria. He's just getting shod there from our farrier Kerry Island. He's been gelded this preparation, so for anyone that's been an Astoria fan that's been frustrated by a low strike rate of wins.
Are you one of those?
You can see that he's going to be coming back as a gelded horse, and hopefully he's a little more focused on the job at hand.
Mind on the job.
Yeah.
A couple of imports coming into the yard relatively recently. One of those we'll see on Saturday, of course. Avilius, is that the pronunciation of it?
Yeah, that's good. He's trialled nicely on a couple of occasions. The mile might be short of his best, but he'll be an interesting horse to follow. He's only come to us with a provisional rating of 88, so he's got the chance to go through his grades. But I think if he was able to warm to the task well on the weekend, then a step up to 1900 metres or 2000 quite soon after that would be very appropriate, and I think he could do well.
Yeah, well, no disrespect to his rivals there on Saturday, but I can't see many of those running second to Cracksman.
Exactly, and I had the same thought myself, but nevertheless, it's a big ask for those horses to acclimatise quickly and get straight off the plane and run well. But the one thing about Avilius is that we've given him a lot of time to adjust, and I think he'll parade beautifully like a horse that is going to look ready to run well on the weekend. Okay,
a couple of others imports though, we'll just rattle through them quickly here. Home of the Brave, he's an interesting horse too, isn't he?
Yeah, we'll have a look at that horse. He's a fast horse, so he's a bit of a different import than what Godolphin have been used to bringing in the past.
Yep.
He's not going to run 2,000 metres. That horse. I think he's going to do well for us over 6 to 7 furlongs, and he's trialled that way, and he'd be ready to run well first up in the Ori Star. He could also run in the Show County, but I'd
just
probably
pull up here before the noise gets too much down there.
I'd probably want to keep them separated. I wouldn't want to run him against Elise, but I think he could run very well fresh. The Ori Star is up the straight too next weekend at Flemington, so he's got straight track experience.
My Moonlight Magic. Now he's been with you for a little while. He's now My Moonlight Magic, not just Moonlight Magic.
That's right.
But he comes over with some really good credentials if you can get him up and running.
Yeah, he's a pretty dour horse, but I think he's got a lot of quality about him, and I'd be really interested to see once we can get him over a mile and 2,000 metres, and perhaps even beyond, what sort of performances he could put together. But he's just tightening up nicely now that I've had him for a couple of months in training, and I think that we've got him going quite well.
And best of days, is the last one that we'll touch on there as far as the imports go.
Yeah, he's the lowest rated of the group of them. He's going to probably kick off later on in the month, but you know, similar to maybe an interlocutor that we had in seasons gone by that can race their way through the grades. I think if that horse is capable of making an impression, then that's the way you'd probably expect to see us do it. He's going to find his way into the benchmark 88s and work up through his distances and just see where he fits amongst the group.
Okay, before we wind up, just two last ones quickly. Osborne Bulls, have we seen the best of him yet? We saw him rip through the grades there last time out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he's got more to offer. I feel like he's still rather untapped, and we've been pretty kind to him. We haven't over-raced him and pushed him too hard, but you know, having missed that run in the Stradbroke, he was put away for a few weeks, and now he could be up and running soon enough to run in a Regal roller, maybe find his way into a Sir Rupert Clark. But you know, I do want to think about bringing him to Sydney and have him ready to run at something at Randwick. Maybe even if it's the consolation race, the Sydney Stakes on Everest Day. Having him part of the Everest Carnival would be pretty satisfying from a horse that's come from being a, you know, he was something like a July 3-year-old maiden winner for us, and there's not too many times we would see a horse, one of ours, go right through to that level from such humble beginnings.
And when will we see Viridine resume?
Viridine we've looked at running him at the Valley first up. A race like the McEwen could be nice for him, but we got a little bit of time before we get there with him, and I'd probably look to trial him in two to 3 weeks time and see how he's coming up. But I'll tell you what, he looks amazing, that horse, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went to another level.
Okay, well, that's a good little tip in itself. Now, before I let you go, outside of Kementari, is there a horse you're particularly looking forward to seeing? And then I'll also ask you for maybe a spring sleeper. We've spoken about a couple there, but can you pick one out and one you're particularly excited to see?
But look, besides Kementari, I'm always excited to see Elise back at the races. She's a filly that's just improved so much. She was able to win an ATC award for the most improved horse throughout the whole season, as a matter of fact. But to see the work that's gone into her to achieve that as well from everybody involved has also been you know, a really great example of how we can come together to get those sort of performances. Moonlight Magic, a horse with those the sort of weight for age runs in Irish Champion Stakes, if he can get up over 2,000 and settle into our campaign and our training regimes well, he's also one that could be a sleeper. So I'd keep your eyes out for both of them, and of course, as you said, Kementari for the Missile Saturday. His preparation begins there, but it's certainly not where it's going to end, and I think that he's in for exciting times ahead.
Before we sign off, I'll just mention the Fantasy League. Obviously, you can jump onto Club Godolphin and sign up there. You'd have to have Kementari in your team, wouldn't you? Yeah,
I'd be surprised if you didn't. Touch wood, he should be right up there with some of our best.
Yeah, I think you can win a trip to Dubai. So if I happen to win it, can I sit next to you on the plane?
Yeah, I'd love to tag along with you if I was going to Dubai.
All right, happy days. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you got a little bit out of that. It looks like another big spring carnival for the Royal Blues, so fingers crossed.
Let's hope so.